I am honored by this incredible presence, by all the wonderful words. As I see my name towards the end of the program, I feel everything that you feel about crossing out things and lines. I want to acknowledge the presence of many of my colleagues who are here. Some I have already seen and said hello, and some I have not. I'm honored to speak on the behalf of New Haven Board of Rabbis and Cantors. In the Babylonian Talmud, a story is told of Rabbi Yochanan, who is credited with his phenomenal healing power. In a quick succession of anecdotes, he is described as showing up at the bedside of his fellows, visiting with them, and after a discussion, helping to lift them out of their state of illness. But when Rabbi Yochanan himself falls ill, another colleague has to show up for him to recover. And the Talmud asks, why did Rabbi Yochanan need help? Could he not have used his awesome own powers to heal himself? And the lesson that it responds with is this: a captive cannot release themselves from prison. They need help from someone outside. Anti-Semitism is often referred to as the oldest hatred in the world. Our people have seen this hatred up close too many times to recount, suffered through too many tragedies to mark every single one. The Holocaust, the most recent and most devastating of the destructions our people faced, was not so long ago. The survivors are still among us. In fact, I spoke to some of them this morning as we had filled the hall in the towers with voices of young Jewish children coming from Hebrew schools all across the town to come and sing songs and sing Jewish music. The survivors were there, coming and sharing their moment as well. The survivors are still among us, helping us remember and holding us all accountable to not forget what happens when evil is left unchallenged in this world. Tomorrow, as you've heard many times already mentioned, is the International Holocaust Memorial Day, observed on the day of liberation of Auschwitz by the Soviet troops 75 years ago, tomorrow to the day. On this day, we not only remember the tremendous pain and loss of our people, as well as other victims of the Nazi regime. On this day, we remind ourselves and each other that we can never become bystanders in the face of evil, that when hate is allowed to flourish, the entire humanity is in grave danger. As we witness resurgence of anti-Semitism around the world, and shockingly in this country too, we need to respond to it strongly, forcefully, just as we need to and do stand up against all hatred. But as we learn from the story of Rabbi Yochanan, we cannot do this alone. We cannot just do this on our own behalf. Communities that experience the scourge of hatred cannot be the only ones who rise up against it. We need to be there for each other, amplifying the voices of our brothers and sisters and saying, not on our watch. Hate has no place here. This is why it is so important to receive support from our neighbors, our interfaith partners, especially from our elected officials. And we are so grateful for your leadership on this. And we are so grateful to everyone who came to raise their voices against anti-Semitism and against hatred today. This is why as Jews we always need to show up for our neighbors whenever we hear of hate raising its ugly head and say together, never again.